Good evening, Cricut family South Africa. My name is Soraya Adolf. Welcome to this Cricut intermediate class. If you can hear me and see me, please let me know. Hello, Candice. Welcome to the class. Okay, Judy has said you can hear me and see me. That's amazing. Welcome to this Facebook Live class. I'm just going to wait a few minutes for more people to join. Hello, Alba. Hello, Tracy. I love to see the regulars and as well as the newbies in these classes because we do like to learn some new things. Hello, David and the cookies. Hello, Santi. Okay, Fiona said we can hear you and see you. Hello, Fiona. Welcome to the class. Okay, so I'm just going to wait about a minute more and then we can kick off this Cricut intermediate class. Okay, I think we've got a few people in the class. So good evening, Cricut family South Africa. My name is Soraya Adolf. I'm a Cricut ambassador, and today we are doing a Cricut intermediate class where we're going to be learning how to make a Pinktober faux leather bag charm. We're going to be using iron on faux leather. Let me know in the comments if you have cut faux leather before with your Cricut machine or if you've tried to apply iron to your faux leather. So this class is sponsored by Logitech and Cricut South Africa, and it is recorded. So if you cannot stay to the end, or if this is a new project for you and you need to watch the replay, you can find the replay on Facebook and as well on the Cricut South Africa YouTube page. So if you are doing this project in the future and you want to go back and just check a few things, you can go back and watch the replay. I do check on the comments, so if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I will try to get them. However, if I do miss them, we have an amazing admin team that will answer your questions for me if I miss them. So this is an intermediate class, so we are going to be designing this bag charm from scratch, and we are going to be using, for example, iron on faux leather, which is more intermediate. If you are a beginner, you can stay. If something is a little bit challenging for you, do ask in the comments, but do remember we have beginner classes for you that you can watch and catch up, so that when you do join these intermediate classes to level up your skills, you will know what we're doing. If you are a beginner as well, please remember you don't need to design this project from scratch. We have shared the project link, so you can just go and do the project. Here we're learning how to design and how to actually get the full Cricut experience. So for example, today I am wearing my Pinktober t-shirt because Pinktober is always almost coming to an end. And I made this t-shirt 2 years ago or 3 years ago when I did the shave-a-thon, and it is still in perfect condition. If you wanted to, you could also find that project on my profile. So there's something for everyone. Let's look at what we are making today. So this is what we are making today. It's a little bag charm. Of course, I didn't bring a bag with me to charm the bag. So this is a little bag charm. You could also use it as a keychain, but what I actually use it on is on the strap of a bag, so that you can have it hanging off, like you have those Labubus now and all of these things. I think this is a gorgeous addition to your bag. It's a little faux leather bag charm. So you can see that's the back. This is the front. We've got some iron-on here, and we've got some glitter iron-on. Hello Mags, hello Fatima, welcome to the class. So that's what we're making, and we're going to design this together. So let's go on over to Design Space. So like I said, this is the project that I have done and I have shared. So we are going to go customize it. If you want to do the project, you can just click on the link and do the project. So here is the project. Let's zoom in so that you can see what it is. So you can see it is cut in one piece. It is absolutely possible to cut this in two pieces instead of having the strap here that joins the two pieces. You can actually just put maybe like a little circle and a little circle this side and then put them one on top of the other. But I actually wanted it to be one of these joined pieces that you fold over. Okay, so to get our design started, the first thing I did was go to images and I searched for breast cancer awareness. And you can see that there is just so many things on Design Space for breast cancer awareness. If you wanted to do florals, you could. Excuse me, let me pause for a second. I realized I didn't tell you what we'll need for this project. Let's backtrack. I got a bit excited to go to Design Space. So for this project, like I said before, we are using iron-on. So I have this Cricut pebbled leather, faux leather. So you can see it's such a pretty color and it's got a little bit of a texture to it. So you'll need some faux leather. And then here I am using the Cricut Glam Squad sampler. This you can find on the secretsale.co.za. It is glittery, it is beautiful. I absolutely love it. I call this color the mermaid color. It makes me so happy. And then lastly, this is also available on secretsale.co.za. It is the hibiscus sampler. I have the Joy extra size, but I also have the bigger size as well. So you'll need that. I'm going to use the pink from here and the glitter pink. If you are a beginner and you're joining this class, or you haven't done iron-on on faux leather, what I am going to suggest is instead of using glitter iron-on, you use two of the just the regular iron-on. You can use everyday iron-on, you can use sports flex. There is a really pretty dark pink sports flex, so you could do this pink and the dark pink. The reason for that is because when you are ironing on to faux leather, there is a trick to it, and if you haven't done it before, it is easiest to do it with these two. So that's going to be my tip for now. Let's head on back to Design Space. Hello Zelda, welcome to the class. So like I said, I searched for breast cancer awareness. There's a whole bunch of designs that you can use. If you wanted to do breast cancer awareness butterflies, breast cancer awareness flowers, there's this really cool boxing glove as well. What I did is I actually bookmarked. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to filter out, and I'm going to see my bookmarked images, and this is the one that I used. So I'm going to bring it on here. So before we move on, yes, and foil iron-on. Foil, actually Candace, love using foil iron-on on faux leather. So if you are new to doing iron-on on faux leather, everyday iron-on is a great option, and foil iron-on is a great option as well. I really like that on faux leather. All right, so as I said before, I wanted to cut my bag charm in one piece. So you can see here it's connected with this section. However, if you wanted to just cut them out separately, you would create something similar to what is on the screen at the moment, which is around the circle of the charm. You just add a circle up here. That's the hole for the key fob or whatever it is you're going to put on it. But we're going to design this one today where it is connected, so I'm just going to hide it. Okay, so like I said before, this is an intermediate class, so we are going to be contouring things. So what I'm going to do here is I just want the inside part of this design. Instead of cutting the circle off at the top, I'm just going to strip this image down to the parts that I want. So I'm going to hide this big piece. I'm going to hide all of the little cutouts. Oh, that's one of the cutouts. That's one of the cutouts. That's it, and that's it. So contouring is turning on and off pieces of the design that you don't want to see. So you can see here anything that's not the ribbon or the flowers, I've hidden it away. I'm going to click apply, and this is what I am left with. This will be the base of our keychain. So what I wanted to do here is I wanted, coming back to the mat, here. Okay, where is my keychain? So if you look at my keychain design, you will see around the flowers, let it just focus, sorry, around the flowers and around the, you can see it here, around the ribbon, there isn't a lot of the leather showing through. And I did this for a reason. I did this because when you are ironing on to faux leather, if you overheat it, it will remove all the texture from the leather. So what I wanted to do before I started working on the design, I wanted to add an offset to this so that there will be less pieces of the leather showing. So you can see here between the ribbon and between the flowers, there is actually quite a bit of a gap between each one. So I'm going to put an offset, and I'm going to do an offset of about either 0.06 or let's say 0.05. That looks good. Okay, let me hide my original one. And so here you can see I actually like that. So I'm going to move them side by side so you can see what I've done. I've taken this image and I've added an offset which has closed off a lot of the wide gaps, has made the flower petals bigger. So I'm going to delete that because I don't need it. And I'm going to make this pink. Hello Chantel, welcome to the class. And I need two of these because I need the dark pink color and I also need the light pink color. So I'm going to make this one dark pink and the top one light pink, and I'm going to align and center these. Okay, so now what I need to do here is I need to, again, using the contour feature. If you don't use the contour feature, what are you doing? It is absolutely amazing. It makes designing so simple. So we're going to start off with the lighter pink. So for the lighter pink, the only part of this design that I need is the ribbon. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to head on over to the contour. And because there's more pieces of flowers than ribbon, what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to hide all contours. And then I'm going to select the pieces of the ribbon that I want, deselect this petal, click apply. And here you will see if I hide that light pink piece, the only thing that's left is the ribbon. Okay, so now I'm going to hide the light pink piece, and I'm going to do the same for the dark pink. So you can see here, just by using the contour feature, Candace said the contour feature is really a great tool. Absolutely. So you can see, Candace, just by using the contour feature, I've turned a single layer image into two colors, or double layer image. If I really wanted to, these little circles in the center, I could make a third one and make those little circles a different color. That would actually look really cute. or I could contour them out completely if I wanted to and maybe put some crystals, which is what I was thinking the first time. So you could even turn it into a 3-part image. If you wanted the flowers to all be different colors, you could turn it into a 6-part image. All you needed to do was my very first image that I used, duplicate it 6 times, and then hide what you don't want. And then this flower could be a different color, this flower could be a different color, and this one. So learning these features on Design Space really is going to help you level up your how you use Design Space and what is available to you on Design Space. So instead of finding designs on the internet, getting the Cricut access and knowing how to use the features is such a great tool. So here you can see this is just the pink, and that's just the flowers, and here is our design. So next up, I need a base to iron these on. So I'm going to grab all of them and I'm going to do about the same 0.05 offset. I think that's actually perfect. I'm going to hide these pink pieces for now. And we're going to take a bit of a closer look at this one. So this is going to be my base. So let's turn it to the color of my faux leather. Okay, so what we're seeing here is there is a lot of little small tiny cuts or little small tiny holes here. When you're cutting faux leather, I have cut really intricate designs. But in this case, because some of you might be starting faux leather for the first time, what we're going to do is we're actually going to contour all of those little holes and cuts out of there. So I'm going to come here, I'm going to hide all contours, but I'm going to bring back this one in the center because we need that one. I'm going to apply, and now you can see I've made this into a solid background for our design. So that is pretty much the bulk of our designing done. I'm going to group this, and now the next step is where we're going to add a circle. Okay, so with the circle, it's also going to be, we're going to make it this color of the base, and we're going to send it to the back. Actually, let's make this one gray because we're actually going to do away with that one. And when I did this, so first of all, I just aligned it in the center. And a key thing for me was that I wanted some of the ribbon. So imagine just outside of this gray. Let's switch to the matte so you can see. Okay, so if you see my design here, you can see my ribbon is sort of coming into this part of the keychain. It's not just in the center. The same with the flower petals, they kind of come slightly into this outer part of the keychain. So coming back to Design Space, when I added my first circle, you can see the ribbon kind of overlaps that circle. And now I'm going to put an offset onto that circle. Let me move it so you can see. Okay. That should be fine. There you go. So I'm going to put an offset, and this time I want a fairly thick offset. So I'm going to go for about a 0.5, should be fine. And I'm going to turn this into the light pink. So you can see here, this light pink circle on the outside, we're going to slice the gray one out of it, and that's going to be our base. So you can also see that the flowers overlap, and so does the ribbon. This is going to help make the keychain sturdy. So I'm going to grab the offset, I'm going to grab the circle, I'm going to slice, and then I'm going to delete what we don't need, bringing back this. Okay, I'm going to ungroup it, and then I'm just going to hide these. And so now you can see that is the base of the keychain. Zelda said, I love that you can create your own unique design from using different design space designs and elements. Absolutely, Zelda. And the key is knowing how to use features. So when I was a beginner, it took me a whole year before I actually used contour and knew what contour was. I was kicking myself. All right, so I'm going to grab these two. It's just the base and the outline, and I'm going to either combine and unite or combine and weld. When would you unite? You would unite if you think that possibly you're going to want to adjust this, that you don't like it exactly where it is. And you're going to weld if you think, okay, this is perfect. I don't ever want to undo this. So I'm just going to weld. And here is our base for our keychain. So next up we need the connector piece. So this piece here, I'm just going to duplicate it. Let me zoom out. Actually, let me check the size. 7 is fine. A 7.5 is also, or 6.5 should be great as well. 7 is fine. My initial one was 5.5 and it was a bit small. So I'm gonna make it a bit bigger. All right, so I'm gonna leave this as a 7. Okay. And before I do anything with this piece on the top, I'm going to add a square to the canvas, and I'm going to size the square as 1.35 by 3 centimeters. My initial keychain, I wanted the connector piece to be very short, so I actually did 2 centimeters, but this one I'm going to make it a little bit longer so that it can hang a bit lower on a bag. So this is the connector piece. Before we connect these, what we need to do is this top piece here. We need to, did you say there's cupcakes in the oven? Sarah got cupcakes in the oven. I hope you're bringing me some to this class. Sorry, I got distracted. So before we do connect our pieces, what we need to do is we need to flip this piece. Okay, so something you need to remember is that the tops, you are going to be connecting the tops of the keychain. Okay, let's go back. If we connected it this way, when we fold it over, you can see this part here is going to land up at the bottom and your keychain is not going to align. So what you want to do is you definitely want to flip it. Okay, so now you can see when I sandwich this, fold it in half, they will align. You can also make this keychain with letters. I did a class on this as well. So for example, if I'm doing letters, first of all, use a very thick font. I'm not going to change the font here. This is just for demo purposes. Use a very thick font. Your letters need to be touching. So if your name was 10, congratulations, this keychain is for you. All right, so actually this one would go on top, duplicate, and then this one would go at the bottom, and then you would connect them. No, I flipped it the wrong way. Flip. Okay, so if you were doing a name, or if you were doing like Papa, Mama, or anything like this, this is how you would do it as well. So the beginning of the word has to connect. That's where you connect the beginnings of the word. So here, this one is simple because it's a circle and we don't have to think about it. We're gonna bring in our square. I'm just going to group these. Okay, I'm going to bring in our square, and as best as I can, I'm just going to try to make sure that the square is touching, whoopsie, the square is touching both pieces. And now we're going to align horizontal, and then we can also align and distribute evenly. The square might move. Okay, so I'm going to ungroup this. I'm going to hide these so that we can see the magic. So I'm going to grab the two bases, I'm going to grab the square, and again I'm going to combine, and this time I'm going to unite. So the reason why I united at this point is because if I for some reason didn't put the square in the right place and there was a bit of a gap, then I could just undo unite and move the two bases closer so that there is no gaps up here, but you can see it's perfectly joined. If I wanted to in the future, I could also combine, undo, unite, and if I wanted to make this either longer or shorter, I could make it and then reunite it. So I'm going to grab these and combine, unite again, and then bring back my two pieces, and that is our design done and ready to cut. So you can see here it was a very simple project to do, just using one main feature, which was the contour, and the second feature was the combine and unite. We created this multi-layer, 3-layer keychain. So I'm going to delete this because we have our original design and we're gonna get started. So I'm gonna go to the Make It page. And today I'm going to be cutting my faux leather on reverse. So I'm going to mirror, and I'm also going to mirror my iron-ons. Okay, and then I'm going to click continue. Okay, let's go up here, and I'm going to choose the base material, and I'm going to search for faux leather, and the one that I'm going to use is this one. Done. Okay, so coming back to our mat. Okay, there you go. So what I meant today is, instead of cutting the faux leather this way, right side up, I'm actually going to flip it and I'm going to cut it from the reverse, and that is why I mirrored it. Another thing is, Candace did ask, and I should have mentioned this in the beginning. So usually my preference is to cut faux leather with the D-point blade. So you get the D-point blade for the Maker series, the Explore series. It is just a deeper angle blade than your fine point blade. However, you can cut faux leather with your Cricut Joy and your Cricut Joy Extra. Actually, all of your machines can cut faux leather. And so today, while my preference is usually to use the strong grip mat and the D-point blade, today I'm going to just use the normal fine point blade and the standard grip mat, so that anyone who does have the Joy or Joy Extra can see that this can be done with your machines as well. Okay. Let me close that for a second, and we can apply our faux leather to the mat. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to put it this way up. So here's another tip for your faux leather. You want to make sure that your mat is very, very sticky, That way your faux leather is going to stick nicely, it's not going to lift, and it's going to cut properly. This is your best friend when it comes to pretty much any material, but especially for faux leather. Make sure that you bray your material down really nicely. Okay, and then the next tip for good results is if you have masking tape, take some masking tape and tape your faux leather down. If you are using the strong grip mat, I don't usually tape it down, but because I'm using the standard grip mat today, I'm going to just tape it down with some masking tape. Should be fine, but if you don't have masking tape, use what you have. Just don't use the brown one, box tape, it will ruin your mat. I am talking from experience. Okay, I see everyone's having cupcakes in the comments. If you know me, there's like pretty much nothing I wouldn't do for cupcakes, and so I hope that I'm getting a delivery somewhere of cupcakes before the end of this class. All right, so the tips for getting good cuts with your faux leather is, for this one, I've turned it, I put the leather side down. This is like a little fabric that's up, and then I'm going to make sure that it is stuck really nicely. Having a very sticky mat and a very sharp blade is going to be key here. Okay, so I'm just loading my mat, and now it's going to cut. So when you're cutting faux leather, you will notice that it does do 2 cuts for each cut that you're going to do. Somebody asked about the blades. So I do see Amy advised, which is absolutely perfect. So when you are cutting faux leather, you can use your fine point blade if you've got your Joy or Joy Extra or your Explore series and your Makers. If you've got the Explore series and the Maker series, you can use the deep point blade. If you are cutting genuine leather, then you do want to use the knife blade for that. You cannot cut real leather with the deep point blade or with the fine point blade. I know a lot of people are surprised that you can cut faux leather with the Joy. I've made some really great stuff using the Joy with faux leather. So definitely, if you have a Joy, do try it. Okay, so like I said, it does double cut each one, so you can see it's cutting the outline again. Okay, let's just make sure the cut is done. So if you have the Maker series or the Explore series, always check that your material has cut through before unloading. If you unload and it's not cut through for some reason, then you cannot cut it again. If this wasn't cut through, for example, if my blade was a little bit older, then what I could do is just press the C or the cut button again, and it would cut in exactly the same space. But if you unload it, unfortunately, you will probably not be able to get it in the same spot. Okay, so that is our faux leather done. Let me just pull the tape off the mat. Now usually for my materials, I always say remove the material from the mat instead of removing the mat from the material. But with the faux leather, you can gently very gently just pull that up from the mat. And oh, can you see what I'm doing? I'm just very gently pulling it up. You could also use your scraper or your spatula or your tweezers or your lifters or whatever they're called. So this is the cut. How beautiful and clean. So the reason why I cut it on the reverse is because of these fibers here. So you'll see there's kind of fibers at the back of your faux leather. If your blade is not, it's on the way out. If you've had your blade for a long time and you've been cutting a bunch of things and your blade is not new at all, what might happen is you might get these little hairs when you cut it this way because it doesn't cut through this fabric piece properly. So you might see these little hairs, but you can see here it's absolutely beautiful clean cut because I cut it this way, mirrored up. So it cuts through the fabric first, then it cuts through the leather. Okay, let me just remove these pieces. I should have brought my scraper with me. And next we're going to cut our iron-on. All right, which one is up first? Let's see. Okay, so here we're going to cut the glitter iron-on first. So again, with my glitter iron-on, I must admit, I do prefer to put it on a strong grip mat, just because this backing is quite thick. But my standard grip mat is quite sticky, so I'm just going to use my brayer. Okay, I'm just going to use my brayer to braid that down like we did, and I'm going to change my material from faux leather to glitter iron-on. Okay, checking that my mirror is on, which it is, and now I'm going to load that in. And it's going to cut. Chantal said Cricut faux leather is so lovely to work with. It really is. I've used some other brands of faux leather and it was not so successful. I almost had a slight meltdown. So if you are new to doing faux leather, do try the Cricut one. Don't give up because it cuts beautifully and is very beginner friendly. Okay, and just like we did before, we're going to make sure that this is cut through, and I absolutely cannot see a thing. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out a piece to weed out because I just want to make sure that it is cut through. Okay, it is cut through, so I'm going to unload it. Ooh, it really cut through. Okay, and then next up I'm going to do the pink one, and that one I'm going to cut it as everyday iron-on. Okay, and then I'm going to put that onto the mat as well, and again bray it down so that it doesn't go anywhere. If you're not getting good clean cuts with your machine, I definitely advise, number one, that you make sure that your blade is clean, And number 2, you use a brayer to get your materials down. While that's cutting, I'm just going to weed my glitter iron on. And that was a very quick cut. Okay, so I'm just going to remove this. I'm turning it upside down, pulling the material from the mat. Something I didn't mention, however, as intermediates you should know, but I will definitely show you. When it comes to cutting iron-on, the reason why we mirror is because iron-on has 2 sides. This is the shiny side and this is the matte side. This is the side with the glue. So when we are cutting our design, we mirror it in Design Space, and when we put it onto the mat, we put it on with the shiny side down. So we're actually cutting it from the back. Once we weed it, when we put it onto our item, we turn it over. So this is why. So always shiny side on the mat. So you can see there's a definite difference between the 2 sides. And we're done with our cuts. I'm just going to move this back so that we can see. Perfect. All right, so I was weeding my design. Hello, Sheila. Welcome to the class. Okay, so I'm just going to go very slowly when I'm weeding, just to make sure that all of my pieces are there. It is a little on the not so bright side here, so I just want to make sure that I'm not losing any of my pieces. So rather go slow and make sure that I'm doing it right. But my cut is absolutely perfect, so weeding that was a breeze. How sparkly is that? So sparkly. Okay, let me cut this off. I love weeding iron-on. If you are a beginner and you haven't been to my classes, you'll know that I always, well, you won't know, but here's a tip. Always weed from the inside out. If you have any pieces that need to be weeded, I always find that it is super helpful. So I just weeded that inside piece, and now I'm going to weed the rest. Hello Anita, welcome to the class. We are making a faux leather keychain today. Okie dokie, and that's my second piece, so we are ready to go. So what else you'll need for this project is you'll need some sort of keychain. So you could put something like this on it. You could put something with a little tag on it. You could put something plain on it. I think I'm gonna go maybe for that one. I quite like that one. If you wanted to, you could do something like a tassel as well. So you need some hardware and you need some glue. I'm going to use Jewel Bond. If you don't have Jewel Bond, you can definitely use a glue gun. I've done faux leather keychains with Jewel Bond before. I made like one for my dad, and his ones lasted over 2 years, and if his can last that long, it is the thing to use. All right, and then just a tip, if you did cut your faux leather and you see little hair pieces, what you can do is take a lighter and very gently, without getting too close, just run it along the edges of your leather. Of course, don't hold it too long because you could burn it, but if there's any kind of hair bits hanging out, that's what you can do. But mine was actually a perfect cut, so I don't need it. All right, so here is our design. Oopsie, let me put my heat press on. So the heat press, there is a heat app. You can go to the heat app and you can put in, I put in earlier that I'm doing glitter iron-on onto a faux leather keychain. I'm going to be using my pressing mats, my heat mats. Okay, let's move all my hardware over. Okay, I'm going to use my heat mats. I'm also going to use, this is baking paper or parchment paper. If you have a Teflon sheet, you can use that too. So this is non-wax. It's the stuff that you put in the oven. So this is highly recommended so that you don't burn your keychain. And so I actually want to show you here the reason we use the Teflon sheets. And for our faux leather, what we want to do today is, it's probably going to take me a few tries to get the glitter iron-on onto here, because I'm going to go low, I'm going to go slow, and I'm going to keep lifting up and checking instead of just going all in one go. So the reason why is because if you press faux leather too long or too hard, you'll start to lose the texture back there. So it will actually burn and kind of get all smooth out. So when I'm doing it today, I'm going to go very low, very slow. So it's going to take a little bit of time. And so that's why I said, if you're new, use the everyday iron-on, because that doesn't require as much heat. And so it's going to iron on here much quicker instead of using glitter. Use foil as well, because that is also a very good option. Is this the wrong way? Yes, it was. Make sure that you're ironing onto the right side. I was ironing onto the wrong side. Okay, just aligning all the flowers. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to iron on the top two sets of flowers first. So I'm going to cover it with my parchment paper, and you're going to see I'm going to concentrate the heat press. I'm going to use the corner so that I'm only pressing where the flowers are. Okay, and this is definitely going to take a while. When you are ironing, we are starting with the glitter because glitter needs longer press and more heat. Okay, so just press it down and lift it up. Susie said, you will see the outline of the iron. Susie, please tell me this. I want to know, what do you mean? Do you mean you pressed your item without putting something over to protect it? Because I've done that too. Candace asks, can you do, with everyday iron-on, can you do 2 to 3 layers of iron-on, or must you do the knockout? Candace with the fancy words. Candace is one of our, not so new anymore. I'm sure she's very much a pro almost. So Candace, yes, you can do 2 to 3 layers of iron-on, everyday iron-on on top of itself. The one thing you need to know with iron-on is glitter and foils, those are going to go on top. You do not want to put anything on top of your glitter and foils. They're not going to stick. So if you are layering on top of each other, you're going to layer the everydays on top of each other, and then your final layer will be your glitter if you're using glitter. If you're not, then you just layer them the way they need to be layered. You will also have to press them for less time. So for example, if your everyday iron-on needs to be pressed for 30 seconds, you will press your very bottom layer for say 10 seconds and then try to remove the backing. Then you would do your next one for 10, and then your final press will be 30. You don't want to do each layer for 30 because then you will burn your iron. If you are trying to layer, I'm just gonna turn my heat up a little bit, okay? I said do it on one. I'm being a little bit naughty. Watch me regret this. But I don't want you guys to be sitting here for a while watching me. But if I was doing this by myself, I would definitely keep it on one and then just keep doing like 5-second presses and checking, okay? The key is low and slow. Okay, if you are doing glitter for layered, I would definitely say then yes, you have to do the knockout method. I see Zelda said that she prefers the knockout method when doing layered iron-on. Same. I actually prefer doing the knockout method to the layer method, just so that you're not pressing the vinyl for too long, number one. And number two, if you're doing like a 5-layer design, then it might start getting thick. It might not feel great on the t-shirt. So if you can do the knockout method, is when you slice the pieces out so that like in my design is basically kind of like the knockout method because I didn't do a full design of each. So it's when you have little cutouts. So some of my iron-on is done. And so you can see I'm just going very low, very slow. Susie's asking, what's the knockout method? Okay, I hope you got that, Susie. It's when in a design you cut out the different colors. I'll show you on my keychain so that you can understand. As soon as I'm done pressing this down. Okay, all Cricut iron-ons are cold peel, so you should wait for them to cool down before checking if they are ready to come up. Let me show you what the knockout method is. Okay, so the knockout method here, if you see my keychain has 2 different colors, the knockout method would be, instead of the light pink being the flowers and the ribbon, and then the dark pink being on top, the knockout method is kind of what I've done, where I've cut out the ribbon and I've cut out the flowers, so the ribbon and the flowers don't overlap. That's what that is. That's the knockout method, is so that you don't have any overlapping colors. They will make one layer, make a design one layer. Okay, so this flower just needs, there you go. Some of my bottom piece got down, but that's okay. Okay, let me do the bottom piece. So if you are doing the knockout method, then you definitely have to either know your contour feature or you have to know your slicing feature in order to be able to do that. So just like, Susie, I don't think you were here in the beginning of my class. The design that I did was actually it was just black, and it was one layer, and I separated it into the 3 layers, the base, the pink, and the dark, and the glitter. So if you are doing the knockout method, you either need to know how to do the contour so that you can contour things, or you need to know how to slice so you can slice to make sure there's no overlapping. Okay, She was walking her dogs. Okay, so as you can see, it's taken me a few press, lift and check, press, lift and check with these iron-ons. Again, it's so that my, what do you call it? My leather doesn't lose that beautiful pebbled design. Okay, and again, if you weren't here in the beginning, you would use your iron on the level 1. I just picked it up slightly so that you guys don't sit here for 10 minutes watching me ironing. But if you are a beginner, do it on the lowest. If it says 30 seconds, do 10 seconds, lift it up, wait, do 10 seconds again. Just keep checking. Don't press all 30 in one go, because then you could definitely burn your leather. Okay, I just have one more petal left that needs to go down. And this is why for this intermediate class, I am using foil, sorry, glitter. When for a beginner class, I wouldn't. So here you can see the glitter is down and all my texture's still there. And now we're going to do this piece. Okay, and the reason why I did the glitter first and now I'm doing this one is because this can take more, the glitter can take more heat than the light pink one. So we always want to start with the one that can take the most heat unless you're layering. Okay, so I'm just going to press down and wait. So with my keychain, what I wanted to do with the iron-on is I actually wanted the pebbled look to come through. Wonder if you can see. So here you can see I kind of pressed it because I wanted the pebbled look to come through, because I think it looks quite cute. Okay, so I'm going to check. Candace said she's in question mode. So Candace, always foil and glitter last. No, backtrack, ignore that. Okay, if you are layering and you are layering this directly on top of each other, if they're the same and you're layering like this, your glitter goes last and your everyday goes first. You cannot iron on top of glitter and you cannot iron on top of foil. That is why when it comes to using glitters, I personally like to use the knockout method like this, so that I can iron my glitter on first and then iron on my everyday. Because if I did the everyday first and then I did the glitter, even if it was like this, your everyday would burn and singe. Okay, so that's not quite done yet. Okay, it's almost done. The everyday will definitely take much less time than the glitter. And at this point, you can kind of go over the glitter again, just to make sure you didn't leave any pieces up. What did you get in your secret sale box, Candace? Tell us. Okay, so I see that I'm just going to turn that up and go quicker. If you feel like you're putting heat in one space, you can always flip it and turn it over. Another thing about faux leather that I like to do, especially if I'm doing jewelry boxes. If you're doing jewelry boxes, for example, do try to make this piece here bigger than the area. So like if my name is this big, I'm going to make my cut about this big, so that you don't get this plastic indented onto your faux leather. If I made the cut very small while I'm ironing on, there is a possibility that that plastic would leave a line. It is starting to stick. I know. If you're thinking this is taking long, I will say it again. With faux leather, the trick is low and slow. That way you don't burn your faux leather and you don't destroy the pebbled effect of your leather as well. Let me cool that down. Candace, you went to the Cape Town event. Oh my gosh, I am very jelly. Okay, I see that corner is down. Ooh, this every day is taking longer than usual. Okay, so I'm just going to apply a little bit more pressure. I'm trying to be reserved, so I'm going to apply a little bit more pressure so that it goes down. If you've done this a few times and you understand your faux leather, then you definitely can crank up the heat and crank up the pressure. I also like making earrings with my faux leather. So sometimes what I do is I'll take a full piece of glitter iron-on and I'll iron it onto my faux leather, either the side or I'll iron it on the side, and I'll cut out whatever I'm cutting out after I've ironed it. And so the back of my earrings will be like this, and then the front of my earrings will be like a pretty glitter color. So if you don't have a lot of faux leather colors, that is a way for you to make more colors. I'm the earring girl. I do love me some earrings. The Cape Town event was so much fun. Oh my gosh, I'm jealous. I think Cape Town, us Durban girlies, we had the East Coast Radio House and Garden Show. Joburg had a few events as well. So I'm happy that Cape Town got to do an event. Susie said, I didn't know that you could mess up the patterned on pebbled leather. Absolutely, Susie. If you do it too high, you can, there's a very piece in the corner here that needs to go down. If you do it too high, you can mess up the, let me show you. Let me crank this up. Okay, so there is my design done, and now we are going to glue it. I've got a little bit of glue there. Let me, if there's a fire, call someone. Okay, there you go. Hot. So here you can see, Susie, it is completely smooth compared to that. Okay, now sometimes maybe you would want the smoother leather. It's fine, it looks great, you know, whatever. But if you want to keep the pebbled look of the leather, then when you are ironing on, you're gonna go low and slow and keep checking every 5 to 10 seconds. If you don't mind, then crank up the heat and go to town, but you will lose your pebbled. Okay, so I decided I'm going to use this one, so I'm actually going to roll my leather like this. I'm going to pop it in instead of putting this on afterwards. And now you can see the reason why we flipped our design when we connected it is because when you fold it over, it gels. And so now I'm going to put my jewel bond on. Okay, I can't be jealous that Cape Town had an event. Don't be jealous. Don't be jealous. I'm telling myself don't be jealous. Oh, let me move my heat press mat before I get glue on there. Okay, so all I'm doing now is I am applying glue. If you've been in my other faux leather class, although actually it's been a while since I've done one, something that is an absolute must for me. So this is actually jewel bond. I've just put it in the smaller bottle. So something that's an absolute must for me when, I'm just going to lift this up, it will be easier, when doing faux leather. If you want your keychain or whatever it is to last, once you put your glue, put something with weight on it. I always put it under my mat, and sometimes I'll put my laptop on top, leave it, walk away, come back in like an hour or so. Okay, my small one doesn't seem to be playing along. Let's use the big one. So add some weight, put it, walk away, come back in like an hour or so, and I promise you your stuff will not come apart. Like I said, I made my dad a keychain and he's had it for over 2 years, and if his can last that long, anybody's can. I have faith in the jewel bond. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the other side. I'm just going to be careful because I am using my big nozzle. Okay, so I don't want to go too heavy on the glue. I just want to make sure that I'm getting all the edges. Okay, so you're not going to put glue in this center piece, obviously. And now we're just going to align it and press it down. So what I like to do first is align from this part here in the center before I align the circle on the outside. And again, with your faux leather and jewel bond, pressing as you go is key. If any glue comes out, just wipe it. I like to use the smaller nozzle so that I don't get that glue coming out. It puts enough glue without having anything come through. Okay, so here you can see my keychain's also kind of a little bit bent. So what I would do is, because I can see that it's aligned really well, I would take it at this point, stick it under here and put a weight on it and come back, and that will actually help it really adhere, and it will help your keychain last for a very long time. So you can also use a glue gun, but I'm not great with my glue gun. So I've done the small version and I've done the bigger version. This one has the longer handle, that one has a short handle. So depending on what you want to do with your little bag charm. Let me see, I actually have a bag. Oh, I have one of these things here. Okay, so what it is basically you put it onto, imagine this is a handbag, although I don't really handbag, but imagine this was my handbag and I was really fancy and it will hang off where your little bag strap would go, or you could put it on a zip. So that's what that is. It's a little bag charm. I hope you enjoyed this class and that I answered all of your questions. Gosh, I have no idea who's up next. I think it's either Lolly or Soraya up next for the next class. Please do join next week, Thursday, and it's been great.